My name is Sherry Honkala, and I'm from the Poor People's Economic Human Rights Campaign, and we're here today in support of Rhonda Lancaster, who is losing her home for a whole series of reasons. One is that the home was her mother's house, and they're trying to take her house and put it in foreclosure and put it up for sheriff's sale. She's going to talk more about the details here today. But the reason that we're here today is because we're expecting another 1 million families across the country to go into foreclosure this year and lose their homes. And we think that there's something really wrong with that, particularly at a time right now when all of the banks are under investigation. They don't really know who really holds the note to a property. And the fact that Rhonda has been an important contributor to this neighborhood for 35 years. And we are about trying to prevent blight in the neighborhood. This neighborhood doesn't need another abandoned property. Do you guys agree with me?
Yes.
And so we are committed because we think that enough is enough. There's enough abandoned properties. We have 40,000 empty properties in Philadelphia. We don't need another abandoned property. And so we are committed to get as many signatures as possible, to hold the necessary demonstrations at the sheriff's office, to send a strong message to Sheriff Jewel Williams to take his authority and refuse to put this house into sheriff's sale. And we're committed to not just doing the demonstrating, but to hold the kind of educationals in this house as well, to educate the community and the neighbors and other families that are facing foreclosure. We also are going to need people's help because we're going to need a lawyer to step forward that will work with us to take on the bank and to keep Rhonda in her home. Right now there's a real struggle to find lawyers anywhere in Philadelphia to represent families that are in foreclosure because it's a difficult thing taking on the banks. And so a lot of attorneys have been hesitant to take on this fight because it's an expensive fight and it's a hard fight. Also, we're prepared, and just so that this is public record, to use an old tactic that goes back to other struggles throughout history, which is the use of nonviolent civil disobedience. That we're prepared to fill this house with church leaders, with neighbors, with students, with you name it, to participate in nonviolent civil disobedience in order to send a strong message that we think that it's wrong to throw a woman after living here for 35 years out of her home. So I hope that people will begin to spread the message throughout this neighborhood that the Germantown community is going to take a position and say no to home foreclosures and no to throwing families out of their houses. So with that, before we hear from Rhonda, I want to introduce Glenn, who is currently in foreclosure, and he's going to talk a little bit about why he's here. And then a leader in the community, John Gonzalez from the Green Party, will talk about a little bit about why he's supporting Rhonda as well. And then we'll end with Rhonda talking a little more concretely about her situation.
Okay, my name is Glenn Davis. I'm from West Philadelphia area. I've been in foreclosure for over 1.5 years now, fighting with the banks, having no support, getting no leeway with them. I'm here to support Rhonda because I feel as though we need to stop this epidemic of foreclosures, especially that we have this huge epidemic that's not just here in Philadelphia, that is actually nationwide, it's definitely national, and we just need to stop this right now.
John Gonzalez, committee board leader for the city of Philadelphia, currently work with the Green Party USA. One of the primary reasons why I'm here, it's not just about Rhonda, it's about this whole world and what the devastating facts that are being presented to our families. Our families are at risk, and with that is our risk with our youth. I expect, as being part of the Green Party of the United States of America in Philadelphia, to make sure that this is a very strong, important message that we send across through this city and throughout our world, that we will fight and we will stand for justice. And that's pretty much where I stand. And I strongly support Rhonda. And
Yes.
This is going to be a movement that has to be necessary to be processed through the whole entire country.
So hi, I'm Rhonda, as you've already probably figured out by now. First off, let me thank Sherry Honkala and the whole team for doing this for me. It has taken somewhat of a 10-ton, shall I say, burden off of my shoulders because I have been fighting this battle by myself for the last 2 years. When my mother got ill and could not afford on her income to sustain her health care, a reverse mortgage idea was presented to me. It was presented in a manner that made it look like, oh, it was a great thing. It's going to help take care of your mother. And when, your mother passes away, everything will be fine. We'll work with you. You won't have any problems. The nightmare started 2 days after my mother died. I notified the bank that she had passed away. 2 days later, I had someone calling me, telling me that they wanted to appraise the house. Here I am getting ready for her funeral, relatives and friends coming in from all over the country, and I'm supposed to stop, drop, and let them come in here and do an appraisal. I found it extremely unprofessional and unsympathetic. After that, a series of events happened, and I was not allowed to talk to the bank. They refused to accept me as the executor of her estate, although papers had been filed in City Hall with accordance of the way the procedure is supposed to happen. From that point on, it was a complete nightmare. I could get through to no one. No one could help me. I had a conciliation meeting in City Hall. It never happened. I have court documents that were served to me a month ago telling me that there was a conciliation meeting. No such event occurred. I did appear at City Hall. I did sign the register, but there was no discussion between myself and the law firm that is now representing the bank. So, as you can see, there has been a history of denying me my legal U.S. rights as the heir to my mother's property. And I am telling you, as I stand here with Sherry, my neighbors, and all these other people, I will fight this battle to the end. And so, and so with that, once again, I want to thank my neighbors for being supportive of me because I have not expressed this to them. I have not told them what is going on. It is now coming out today. And I want to thank them for all the 35 years that we have been here. My mother did a lot for this community. It is documented in the history books. I am carrying on her legacy, doing the same thing. I've helped youth get jobs. I have helped adults get jobs. We have done cleanups here. I was a block captain. I worked in politics. I have a full-time professional career in music now, and I do teach water fitness. But the point is that I think anybody who knows me can speak for my record. They know that I'm a reliable and orderly homeowner, and that I don't just take it for granted. And so, Sherry, I want to thank you for all of your help.
What we're doing is we're saying not in our neighborhood, that we want somebody that has contributed to the neighborhood, who has lived in her home for 35 years to be thrown out of this house because not just the home itself will cause blight, but the absence of Rhonda being in this community will hurt this community. So we're going to need as many signatures. If people know heads of organizations, if people know mosques, churches, you name it, whatever religious leaders, we're going to need them. We're going to need neighborhood organizations to pass endorsements saying that they're in support of her staying here in this home as well. And then we're going to take this battle to court. And once we go to court, we're going to need people to come, and we'll probably have a lawyer, hopefully have a lawyer here that'll take like affidavits from neighborhood residents so that it's more formal for the courts. And then we're going to also need people to sign up to come out and be a witness. Many people are at different stages, right? many people are not at a stage of participating in nonviolent civil disobedience, but many people are at a stage where they can be witness to a situation. And so we're going to need as many neighbors out here seeing what's happening, being the moral authority in this community, and spreading the word about what's happening.
Let's give you a tour. So this is a side street. This is a corner property. You know, corner properties are a big deal. That's what these people are looking for with foreclosures. This is what they're after. It's the space. This particular house, my mother had this wall built. This brick wall and this wrought iron fence were her vision. With her equity, not her equity, but you know, her financial equity, I mean, had this built and had this yard put in. Don't take a picture of the yard, please. It's not landscaped yet. So we're coming down, okay? And of course the inside was done as well, okay? And we're going to come on down. And I had trees planted here from the city of Philadelphia a couple of years ago as part of the Green Initiative. So I'm very green friendly. Come on, you want to take a walk with me? Come on. Because these little ones need to see this too, okay? So here we are. So here's the back of the house. My mother had a marble patio put in back here. That was quite a few years ago. It's about 20 years ago now. And it takes a lot of maintenance, but we get it done. We get it in, as they say. So that's the back of the house. And then we come down. Oh, a lot. Let me finish this. This is the garage to the property, okay? Let me hide my license plate number. Where's the thing? And so this is the garage. And so, you know, these kind of properties are a big deal. This is what these people, these sharks are looking for. This is what they want. They want something, because this house is, except for two down there, are the only ones with garages. So this is like a gemstone. You know, as one of my friends said, this is prime property, but this is my mother's property and it's God's property and my property. So, okay, so that's it. And then there's a little bit around there, but not much. There's just an alleyway back there. So that's it. And what kind of memories? When we moved here in 1977, this was a very different neighborhood. There were rich people, poor people, middle-class people. There were black people, white people, Hispanic people. I used to do a babysitting tour up and down this block. I babysitted for so many different families when I was a teenager. And as time moved on and the 80s came in, there began to be a change, a socioeconomic change. There were people who were moving out, people who were moving in. We had some issues on this block. We got them cleared out because I started taking an active initiative in politics. I was working for a state rep as a legislative aide. I also was a town watch captain and a block captain as well. I was involved in one of the first, not one of, the first federally heard dogfighting cases. We had a major dogfighting ring going on over here. I went and testified in front of Judge Alexandra Quinones at City Hall, and we sent the guy up the river. I was in the New York Times. All of this stuff is documented. So I have played a very vital role, and that's under the tutelage of my mother. My mother, when I think about her, all the jobs she got for kids, she helped adults. She taught kids into going to college and not hanging out on the streets. So, and when my mother died, we had over 200 people at her funeral from this community alone. So this is a big deal. And my goal with this, not only to work with Sherry and her team, but is to become a lightning rod for this issue all across the country. I don't care what I have to do. I'll talk to Don Lemon on CNN. I'll go to NBC 10 on City Avenue. I don't care, because this issue has to come to light. I want to tell you something. I know artists that live on the West Coast right now who are facing foreclosure. These are people that sold millions of records and have done tours all over the world. They are losing their homes. I have direct connection with them. So I think that I am the one who has to become the lightning rod for this. Not only for common, regular, people, but artists too, because artists are losing their homes. So we're going to get it in. That's my pledge for 2012. Peace. I'm out.
I'm a neighbor of Rhonda's, and I'm here to support her in any way I can. I think it's terrible that people are losing their homes to banks who made incredibly bad decisions, and it's just not right. Rhonda is an incredibly important part of our community, and she belongs here. She's been here since she was a teenager, at least. So she grew up in this house. Her mother lived here, her grandmother lived here. You know, it's been in the house for generations. I mean, it's been in the family for generations.
She sees everything that's going on, and she knows the new neighbors that's going to move in and the ones that have moved out. And she's just a town watch for everybody, and she lets everybody know what's going on. I don't know how she does it, but she knows. She's an important member of the community, and we don't know what we would do without her.
She knows what's going on, she tells everybody, and she keeps people together.
Yes.
She brings people together to fight for things that we need in the neighborhood. She would leave a gap, a huge chasm in the neighborhood because she cares so much. She really loves people. She likes to make sure that people are doing the right thing. She does things like find summer camp possibilities for the kids in the neighborhood. She helps people find jobs. She just, keeps an eye on things. And she lets everybody know because she's a really good communicator.
And you can be old or young, she still looks out for you because she's always wanting me to go to the senior citizen program.
Banks should not be allowed to foreclose on people's homes. If people are able and willing to make a payment, they should be willing to accept it. It's better to have a little bit of money coming in than no money at all and have the house sit empty and get vandalized. It makes no sense whatsoever. You want to build communities and neighborhoods. You don't want to destroy them by having families forced out of their homes. It is so critical to support Rhonda in her efforts to keep her house. There's absolutely no reason on earth why she should have to lose the house. She pays what she can, and the bank should be willing to negotiate with her instead of selling the house from out under her. It's absolutely wrong. When that happens, neighborhoods get destroyed. They leave gaps in the community, and bad things start happening. People should be able to stay in their homes. There should be a way to stop foreclosures from happening and keep people in their homes. Families should not be tossed out on the street.
And you don't know who's going to move in, but we do know what we have now and what she will help and do for us.
I've been knowing Rhonda for the last 3 years. I've been up here. She's been a very good person to the community. She always very active. She looks out for her neighbors, and it'd be a bad thing for them to get rid of her at her house here. Well, I don't think the community would be the same without her here because she looks out for the neighbors, make sure nothing bad be going on around here. If sometimes people be around here doing their little shooting and stuff like that, she always calls the police and make sure, everything is calm around here. And she's a good neighbor to have. And it'd be devastated if we lose her. The economy is very bad, and why would you evict somebody on hard times? That's why a lot of people out here today is out here killing themselves because not only the banks, the government is just treating them bad. And I think that shouldn't happen at hard times. They should give them a second chance, or work with them. I would like to see her to stay here. I wouldn't want to see her to go. I don't want to see her to go because she's a good neighbor. Stays to herself, She's a good neighbor.
This right here, this boy is like my son. His mother is like my sister. We come up together for all the 30, because my mom used to help his aunt talk his aunt into going to college so she could become a full-time nurse and successful what she is now. I watched this kid come up. I helped him get jobs, did I not?
Yes, you did.
I didn't even try to help with his rap career. I couldn't do nothing with that, though. But seriously, this is the kind of stuff I'm talking about. This is a family affair. This is not a bunch of people who live isolated and close their curtains. Like when this stuff went down last night, everybody was outside, weren't they?
Sure
That's
was.
right, everybody was outside. Because we want to know what's going on around here. This is a nice neighborhood, and we intend to keep it that way. But
That's right.
we need stakeholders like myself, and I'm not trying to put myself on a pedestal, but carrying on my mother's legacy. Ain't that right, son? No?
Nice lady. I knew her all my life, and she helped us.
I knew her before I was born, actually.
Yeah, pretty much. And she's just been a nice lady, and we don't want to see her go nowhere. So we're gonna fight to keep her here. And
Can I get a haircut for free?
Yeah, sure. Eyebrows, whatever you want. Please support Rhonda, help her keep her home because she's a good lady, and we want her on this block. So whatever you can do to help, please do so.
we're here today is because we're expecting another 1 million families across the country to go into foreclosure this year and lose their homes. And we think that there's something really wrong with that, particularly at a time right now when all of the banks are under investigation. They don't really know who really holds the note to a property. And the fact that Rhonda has been an important contributor to this neighborhood for 35 years. And we are about trying to prevent blight in the neighborhood. This neighborhood doesn't need another abandoned property. Do you guys agree with me? Yes. And so we are committed because we think that enough is enough. There's enough abandoned properties. We have 40,000 empty properties in Philadelphia. We don't need another abandoned property. And so we are committed to get as many signatures as possible, to hold the necessary demonstrations at the sheriff's office, to send a strong message to Sheriff Jewel Williams to take his authority and refuse to put this house into sheriff's sale. Because it's a difficult thing taking on the banks. And so a lot of attorneys have been hesitant to take on this fight because it's an expensive fight and it's a hard fight. Also, we're prepared, and just so that this is public record, to use an old tactic that goes back to other struggles throughout history, which is the use of nonviolent civil disobedience. That we're prepared to fill this house with church leaders, and we're committed to not just doing the demonstrating, but to hold the kind of educationals in this house as well, to educate the community and the neighbors and other families that are facing foreclosure. We also are going to need people's help, because we're going to need a lawyer to step forward that will work with us to take on the bank and to keep Rhonda in her home. Right now there's a real struggle to find lawyers anywhere in Philadelphia to represent families that are in foreclosure. My name is Sherry Honkala, and I'm from the Poor People's Economic Human Rights Campaign, and we're here today in support of Rhonda Lancaster, who is losing her home for a whole series of reasons. One is that the home was her mother's house, and they're trying to take her house and put it in foreclosure and put it up for sheriff's sale. She's going to talk more about the details here today, but the reason that